Hey everybody. Hey everybody. It's Jillian. Good morning. So, the title of this video is How Long Before the Innovation Glitches? When a society accepts a certain amount of death, when a society accepts a certain amount of death every year, they will accept whatever glitch happens until it potentially happens to them prematurely, unexpectedly, not within their expectations. And so it's interesting in our split brain society how we're able to rationalize taking things to innovate us and accepting a potential deadly outcome. Now, I understand that this is about balance. I mean, that's basically the name of my book is The Great Reset. Okay? It's The Great Reset. And the Great Reset means that some people are going to, the dinosaurs in our society are going to be recycled upon a surge of energy that is too much for them to handle, or it will accelerate the entropy process, the chaotic process of disorganization, which then ultimately ends up in cancer, disease, chronic illness, and then, yes, potential actual death, the final transfer, the final energy transfer. Okay, so it was interesting last night. I was debating with somebody, and I wanted to because I knew he could handle it. He was about a little bit younger than me. Um, yeah, about my age, maybe a little bit younger than me. Very, very well educated. I partied with him and their friends a long time ago back in California, so I know how educated this person is, and I know how technical they are. And so when you're dealing with a very split brain society, when you go on someone's Facebook, they're going to be set up to win. Just like me, I make sure that I get set up to win every time because I am the god of my Facebook, and so are all of you. You are gods of your own Facebook. And when you are gods of your own Facebook, you're going to set up the formula and the equation to where the only actual answer, the only actual proof or the solution is going to be within my parameters of acceptance. And so I have obviously, I say, if you're not promoting indefinite life and if you don't think about reversing the aging process, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. And that basically takes out most of the people out there that want to debate with me. Okay, so if you're not reversing the aging process, and if you're not, if you're not, and if you're okay with living indefinitely, and you accept that, and that is a possibility, then I mean, if you're not reversing the aging process and you don't believe in living indefinitely, I don't want to hear anything. Okay, and so that's how most people set up their Facebooks, is the fact that if they don't have some kind of term that actually speaks to what your concerns are. So I mentioned piezoelectricity to somebody who had never really heard of piezoelectric. And then when presented the evidence of piezoelectricity and bioimmunotherapies and biosensors and everything else, it was still a wall. It was still a wall because if it's not written on the CDC website that vaccines actually do create a piezoelectric effect, then it's not going to be accepted as, okay, yeah, there is definitely, some kind of electric force and surge of energy when it comes to manipulating the immune system. And so you have to understand that most people, which I said, most people are working from an 8th grade, maybe a high school education, if that. And so you're not going to have technical terms on the CDC website for the general population who really can only have a literacy rate of maybe, 7th and 8th grade, and their comprehension rate is probably less than high school. You get maybe a handful of people that are very, very, they're very smart, that actually can understand, have actual high reading comprehension. But most people do not look at anything technical. And if they did look at something technical, it would make no sense for the industry like the CDC or any of the the public websites to put something as technical as piezoelectric. Okay, so that's where then obviously you have to be of a higher caliber and do a little more research if someone drops you a few hints like thermodynamics. I mean, this is all physics. This is not anything like out of this world. This is physics. But again, when you deal with a split brain society who believes a certain amount of death is okay, they're not going to care. If they survive the vaccine, if they survive the virus, it's not going to matter what people's concerns are. And that's what you have to understand. When you accept a certain amount of death, then it won't matter how aggressive the innovation is. And it's all innovation. Okay, it's all innovation. And so that's like, okay, and so that's when you have to realize that you can't save people, which I already figured that out. But the reason why I debated with him, because I wanted to really exercise the way I articulate vaccinations. And that's what, occasionally if you can find someone that's strong enough to handle that, do it. Don't do it a lot because it'll take a lot out of you. But, find a way to exercise the way in which you articulate about vaccines and immunotherapies and then Jilly Juice and how it all works, so people can get that you really have to start retaining your energy. Okay, you really have to start retaining your energy and getting it together. And so some of you I'm going to switch gears now. Some of you have been part of my world way back in 2017, 2016. You gave me $30. I gave you a document. If you happen to not download the document or it was too much for you, that's not my problem. I sent you the document. You gave me the money. Everybody's happy. Now you want to be able to do the protocol because now it's a couple years later, you're now facing some pretty intense stuff. Like very intense stuff with the pandemic. With all the therapeutics. And now it's time for you to go buy the book because it is in paper form. And it's time for you to now go buy the book or watch the videos in my pinned post on my business page, Jilly Juice LLC. And there are other pages that try to pretend to be me and make fun. So make sure you get to the right Jilly Juice LLC. That has the recipe in pink and blue and whatever. Or go to my old page, Exposing the Lies. Okay? And you watch the videos. You watch the videos. The one video, How to Make J Juice, will tell you exactly how to make it. There's also a video on why I changed the salt. If you don't want to watch the videos, if you don't want to do anything like that, then go buy the book. Go on Amazon. It's only it's not that expensive on Amazon. My website, jillyjuice.com, has it through my publisher, but I don't want you guys dealing with anything with the publisher if there's any issues. So go to Amazon, that's fine. But it's time for now, a lot of you, to really pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Because no, this is not the old Jilly Juice world. I like innovation, but innovation is earned. I mean, right now everyone's getting free innovation, but not everyone's going to be able to earn that innovation because they don't have what it takes to handle the innovation. And that's the issue. But do we want to have half society be completely like caveman, not being innovated at all? And do we want the other half society completely innovated, completely just very expansive in the mind, having to deal with those that are not very evolved? There's got to be some kind of balancing force to where, yeah, you can be a little bit less innovated, You don't have to be so highly innovative, but enough to be able to handle the requests and have a symbiotic relationship with someone who is highly innovative, highly evolved. And so, yes, at some point you're going to have to adapt to the level of your environment. Because we can't go back to the Genghis Khan days. We can't go back to being a third world country. Though it's happening, yes, because we're in the midst of a transition. And now it's time for you to earn your place into this next world, which means that if it's as little as getting my book through Amazon or through my publisher, The Evolution of the Jilly Juice Protocol, or watch the videos. See, I'm giving you two options. Watch the videos in the pinned post in my on my business page, either both business pages, or you buy the book and spend $15, $12 with shipping. It could be $20. But yes, back then when the $30 and I gave you the document, that's up to you. If you didn't have room to download it, if you didn't pay attention to it and really value it at that time, then I'm sorry. But times have changed anyways. Why would you want something as old as my old document way back in freaking 2017? It's time to evolve. It's not time to go back in time. I'm not living your world of going back in time. So yeah, I do ignore a lot of private messages from people who want me to basically walk them through this, who want me to give them something in a paper form or electronic paper form. No, buy the book. That's a paper form. That's everything all organized for you the way you really want it, but you don't want to expend the energy. When I wrote a bunch of stuff and I sent you the documents, you sent me $30, I sent you the documents, I'm sorry if you didn't save it. And so this is just more evidence for me knowing who is a candidate for Jilly Juice and the next world, because let me tell you, I've made it so easy for so many people that if you can't even do the current protocol to even get on board with Jilly Juice, there's no way you're going to stay on it. You'll get off it just like you did a couple years ago when you first were introduced to it. There's no guarantee that even if you get my information, you're going to stick to it. So you might as well make it something that it's worth it to you and earn your way in getting J Juice. If that means just taking $20 that you can save up, if that means that you take some time, like maybe an hour or 2 hours out of your day and watch the fucking videos, watch the goddamn videos. You're going to have to expend something to get something. Do you realize nothing's for free in this world? Nothing is for free. Either spend the time or you spend the money. And money is time, and time is money. And so yes, this is how I'm able to keep my sanity, by not going back with those that are stragglers. And I'm putting their responsibilities solely back in your lap. And so yes, innovation can take for a minute until people start glitching because they don't have what it takes to support the innovation. And so where J Juice comes in, it says, okay, if you get innovative through vaccinations, through viruses, through some information like mine, then you need the J Juice and the food supply to back that shit up. So that way you have a stable environment for the new information so it doesn't fly out the window. And that's why they changed the salt. That's why there's no diet. That's why I don't play the holistic game, because you have to have a very stable, insulated environment to be able to handle the action potential of the grid of the virus and of all of the therapeutics, as well as being part of a community. So yeah, animals will also go through the upgrades. When you take on an animal and they start glitching, it's because they need to go through a healing process. They need to be backed up with the food supply, with J Juice, and they have to deal with all of their predispositions. That's one of the things that's going to be very hard for those on the J Juice and with animals, is the fact that not only do you have to take care of yourself, but you also have to be around for your animal 24/7 to make sure that they are supported 100% throughout their own healing process. And so, humans and our society today have exploited not only each other, but we've exploited the animal kingdom as well. And at some point, that's going to have to be taken a look at. Why do you get an animal? Why do you have your friends and family? Okay, why do you have the people that you do? And so, just be warned when you first do the J juice and when you stay on it, and let's say your animal's on it, you're all going to have to heal. Because yes, if you don't want to deal with an evolution of where the animal and you are rising, which means you're going to have to evolve, feel the pain, and yes, come out of it and be awesome. If you want to keep deadening not only yourself, but your animal's body, mind, and spirit, then yeah, you're going to take part in the veterinary world, you're going to take part in the holistic allopathic world, and then systematically, progressively deaden the system to where eventually the animal and you will not survive. And that's the current world today. And that's why we live in a split brain society that will only be innovated based upon what is already being flexed in that genetic line. And then at some point, the person and the animal will glitch, of which then the system is going to say, okay, now that you're glitching, we've used up every single resource in your body. And now it's time for us to gently recycle you back into the system, into the universe. And so, that's not my world. That's not the world that I want to live in. That's the world that's out there, yes, that exists. 7 billion people with that belief system. You exploit the resources till there's nothing else, and then you let them go back. Well, I choose to watch it all. I choose to take part when I need to, and then pull out when I don't need to. And I'm not run by greed. I'm not run by envy. I'm not run by any of the things that are part of like the 7 deadly sins. Okay? And so, yeah, so I could sit back and just watch everything happen. I don't have to take part. And if I have to take part, it'll be very minimal. But I'm not run by any of the 7 deadly sins. So is it greed, sloth, envy? There's a bunch of them. And so, yeah, I mean, the Catholic Church definitely had a lot of insight when it comes to the human condition. So anyways, I usually do not respond to private messages when someone asks me about the old stuff from the old book, why you change the salt. Yeah. At this point, if you haven't figured out how to get my information, you're not going to be able to take to it. Even if I gave you a manuscript, you would want me to break it down and tell me which page the protocol is in. So no, anytime that I have to go and actually baby somebody through this process where they just can't go get the book or watch the videos, 2 ways, you won't stay on the protocol and you'll be a pain in my ass. And I'm trying to lessen the pains of asses in my world because I got to get a book written. But I also do Facebook Lives to verbalize and get me going. Because yes, it does take energy and it does take motivation to go back and look at, like my editor, she went and gave me some great insight. So I'm going to go back this morning and go look at the insight that she gave me so I can make sure that I can be clear on what it is I'm putting out there. And one of the biggest things she told me, the biggest issues that she had, or the biggest, one of my major idiosyncrasies is I'm very redundant. Well, no shit. I know that. And so she's looking at my redundancy, which I get. I have taken so much information from different parts of this last year. And it's been taking stuff away, adding in, taking stuff away, adding in. And so there's a lot of redundancy, yes. And so she's helping me with that. So it's one thing to have all these great ideas and just spit them out on Facebook Live, right? Which is very easy for me. It's so fast, it's quick, it's dirty. And there's another thing to really write it out. Because when you write it out, it forces you to think. When you write something out, it forces you to think. It forces you to actually break things down to the most minute, minuscule level. So that's why I urge you guys that are on the J-Juice, start writing. Just write. And get a very concurrent, progressive thought process that you can actually have it logically flow, because that's been my exercise throughout this whole process. One of the biggest things was my writing and my speaking. And so my writing and my speaking has actually improved within the last 5 years, my writing as well. And so that's called flexing parts of your body, flexing parts of your brain to help it get strengthened. Because some of you that don't write, there's a reason why you don't write very much, because it doesn't come easy to you. And so that's part of why you need to flex the areas that have been dormant for a lot of reasons. So things that you're afraid of, the reason why you're afraid to do certain things is because you were not bred to flex that. It's time to flex the areas that have been atrophied through breeding, through programming from your family, friends, and your community, as well as you. That's why I do the hard stuff. That's why I get on Facebook Live. That's why I write, knowing that my first writing was atrocious. My second writing was okay. My third writing was like, it's getting better, but there's still missing pieces. Yes. So now this is my fourth writing. Because when you think about it, this is technically my fourth book. My first one was what was put out there on the web when I went to court. Okay. My second book was The Exposing the Lies. My first book actually published. My third book was The Evolution. Now I'm on the fourth book. Fourth time's a freaking charm. And I'm still going to risk it all for people to be judging on how it is. That's fine. I'm improving. And that's what I want to see you guys, to go through an evolution of improving on something that you haven't really done. You don't have to go on Facebook Live, but just write out stuff. Get your vocabulary. Learn how to just put things in logical flow, because that's our world is going to be about. Our world's going to be about being strong in so many different areas, not just one area. Okay. You know, a jelly juicer is multifaceted. Yeah, at some point when you get through your physical symptoms, yes, you will eventually get to the intellect. You will eventually get to your spirit and your mind. And then you would take on the innovation as if it was nothing. It was easy. And then you start expanding your intelligence, or expanding your spirit. And then who knows? I mean, sky is the limit. But if you're flexing what you already know, if you're already flexing your strengths, then the weaknesses that you have are atrophying even more. Okay? And so if you're scared to go buy my book, then that's something you need to flex and go buy the freaking book. If you're scared to watch my videos, then it's time for you to go face your fears and watch my videos. If you're scared to make a mistake, then it's time to make a mistake and realize that making a mistake is not the end of the world. If you're scared of doing J juice, then it's time to do J juice and realize that you'll survive drinking a cup of J juice. Anything that you're scared of, you got to face that fear. That's flexing what's been atrophied. That's the innovation of J juice, is the fact that it'll give you the energy, the courage, and the discernment to know whether or not you should be flexing that part of your muscle or not. But if you're not supporting that innovation correctly, then yes, people will crash. They will glitch. Predispositions will come to surface pretty quicker now because of the environment. Of which why it is a split brain society doesn't last very long. When you're in a split brain society, maybe you'll live to be 100 years. Yeah, you can capitalize on your strengths during your potential 100 years. You might make a few money, you might make some money, you might make some dough. But eventually, yes, that system that used you for your strengths, they've exploited you to where now there's nothing left. And now with J Juice, it's time for you to get back what you've been giving everybody around to you. And you've been depleting your supply because you keep giving to somebody else. It's time to retain that energy and stop allowing it to be leaked out. And then accepting death as the outcome. because that's why people don't have a problem with any of these mass therapeutics and innovation, because they are accepting a certain amount of death. And it's a perception. How much is a perception? I see on my Facebook every single time my dog and I go through an upgrade, people are like getting anxiety attacks or getting heart attacks or getting strokes or getting all. There's a correlation to, yes, the electricity in the air from the virus as well as the therapeutics, and yes, the grid. And if you don't feel stuff, then people are taking their pills and their powders and their supplements and all the things that are anesthetizing them so they don't feel it, and then one day their heart doesn't work. Okay? That's kind of what's going on, is the more that entropy is accelerated, the more people are going to be taking their protocols that are going to deaden their system even more, to then where it eventually affects their vital organs. So, but yeah, so anyways, it's time to evolve, those of you from the 2017, 2018 world. And the evolution is either go to my website, get my book, or go to Amazon and get my book, The Evolution of the Daily Juice Protocol. Pay the money. Because yes, everything that was done way back in 2017, as far as giving me $30 for a manuscript or a paper, which I sent people, I sent to them. If you did not save it or you didn't have enough memory on your computer, that's not my problem. Now it's time for you to evolve. Get my latest information, because you shouldn't be going back to what I wrote back in 2017. If you're using my old information from 2017, 2018, then you're not ready for the protocol, because you're not ready to evolve. And if you have been watching me and you're waiting to do JJuice at the 11th hour because now you've been diagnosed or now you've had issues and now you're seeing there's value in my juice, now it's time for you to actually do your homework and take personal accountability, because I've made it so freaking easy for all types of people. Yeah, you have to be relatively technically inclined. If you're on Facebook, you can watch videos. If you have a credit card, you can go buy the book off of Amazon. Even if you don't have a credit card, go get a loadable card that you can get at any convenience store. And yes, they pay per transaction, but at least you have access to a credit card. It's not really a credit card, really, it's a debit card. So there should be no excuse why a person couldn't get my book or watch the videos on the pinned post on my business page. So I've covered all my bases to cover my ass, so I'm not getting bothered by those that are like, oh, I can't. Well, you're on Facebook. Yes, you can. All right. And the new world is you're going to have to be dialed in digitally. So if you're not dialed in digitally, then you have bigger issues that I can even deal with. So, all right. Bye.